So in this lecture, you are going to see about deterministic push-down automaton. So we already saw deterministic automaton and finite automaton. That is deterministic and non-deterministic. Similar to that, also in PDA we have two types of PDA. That is, one is non-deterministic and another one is deterministic PDA. Whatever we have discussed till now stands for non-deterministic PDA. So how it varies or differs itself from non-deterministic PDA, we will see here. So before going into the formal definition of PDA, just to remember what the basic difference between non-determinism and the determinism. In non-determinism, from a state for an input symbol, there can be more than one transition. That is, there may be more than one possibilities for me to move from one state to another state for the same input symbol. But it is not so in case of deterministic deterministic automaton. So in deterministic automaton, from a state for an input symbol, there should be only one possibilities, right? So keeping this in mind, we'll come to the formal definition of deterministic push-down automaton. So deterministic push-down automaton is acronym for that is DPDA. So they define PDA. P is equal to the 7 components, that is Q, sigma, capital gamma, del, Q naught, Z naught, F, to be deterministic push-down automaton if and only if the following conditions are met, right? So here, if for example, we know this is the transition function, that is the PDA is in the state Q and it scans the input symbol A and X is the topmost symbol of the stack. So it should have exactly one member, that is output of the transition must be only one, that is A should be there in sigma or A is equal to epsilon. That is, if transition of Q comma A comma X is non-empty, that is if there exists any transition for this, there should not be any transition for this. Why they say this? If this exists, this should not, is that if from a state, if the input symbol A is scanned and if the top of the input is X, we say the automaton to perform some operations. But here we say that from a state Q, without scanning any input symbol, if the input top of the stack is X, we say that the automata to perform some operations. But we do not know whether the automata went to that state by scanning the input symbol A or without scanning the input symbol A. So, in order to avoid that confusions, in deterministic push-down automaton, what they say is that if I have a transition like this, then I should not have a transition like this, and vice versa. That is, if I have a transition like this, then a transition of this type should not be there, right? So this is the basic difference between deterministic push-down automaton and non-deterministic push-down automaton. Mostly the definition for deterministic push-down automaton is asked as a 2-mark question. So we have to read that clearly. I am repeating again. In deterministic push-down automaton, everything should be exactly said. So here in normally in push-down automaton, we have two components. One is the input and another one is the stack symbol. So I make a transition either by scanning an input symbol or may not be scanning an input symbol by keeping track of only the stack symbol, right? So there non-determinism comes inside. So in deterministic push-down automaton, they say that I should not have such dilemma. So for example here, what they say is that I should have only one transition, that is either for A or for epsilon. If this is non-empty, it means that if I have a transition like this, then I should not have a transition like this. Similarly, if I have a transition like this in my automata construction, then I should not have a transition like this. Just to write this as the definition of deterministic push-down automaton. So in question paper, if they ask in specific, if they ask us to construct deterministic push-down automaton, we should have this in mind, and we must be ensuring that no such transition exists. I'll give one small example which says the basic difference between deterministic push-down automaton and non-deterministic push-down automaton. You consider this language W power R. W, assume that it is a binary string, right? It is a binary string. So W is a string and W bar R is the reverse of it. So I have to construct a push-down automaton for a language like this, that is, which consists of a strings of some W followed by the reverse of the same string, right? But what is the problem here? I do not know where the W ends and the symbols of W bar R begins. So there is a confusion. Since I am constructing the PDA, I will be assuming that only this many number of symbols will be present in the W, and after that whatever symbols comes, it belongs to W bar R. But always it may not be the case. So sometimes the symbols of W bar R may be considered as it belongs to W, and sometimes the symbols of W may be considered as the symbols of W bar R. So there comes the non-determinism, right? So when they ask us to construct a deterministic push-down automaton, I cannot construct a deterministic push-down automaton as such for this language. So to avoid that confusion, let me introduce a separator between W and W bar R. Right, this is R. So W bar R. So automatically now I am able to differentiate between W and W bar R. There is no confusion for me, right? And there is no problem in constructing the push-down automaton. Just a simple example to say where the non-determinism comes and how we eliminate that. But it is not possible for all the languages or for all the grammar to construct non-deterministic push-down. I can construct non-deterministic push-down automaton, but deterministic push-down automaton is not possible, right? Now we'll come to the language recognized by PDA. So what is the language recognized by PDA normally in general? The language recognized by PDA is the context-free language, right? So then what about the language of the deterministic push-down automaton? In the previous slide I was saying that since deterministic push-down automaton imposes specific constraints, it cannot be constructed for all context-free grammars, right? So in that case, now can I conclude that deterministic push-down automaton also recognizes context-free languages? No, I cannot conclude. Why? Because I cannot construct PDA for all the context-free grammar, right? Okay, fine. So then what is the language recognized by deterministic push-down automaton? It is the language that lies between regular language and context-free language. So again, keep this in mind. It may be asked as an important 1-mark question, right? So the language recognized by deterministic push-down automaton lies between some regular language and context-free language. Why I say that it lies between regular language and context-free language? Because deterministic push-down automaton cannot recognize ambiguous grammar. This is the reason. So I cannot say this deterministic push-down automaton is as powerful as that of the non-deterministic push-down automaton, because now deterministic push-down automaton cannot recognize ambiguous grammar, right? Now we'll see, I'll summarize the closure properties of context-free languages. So they'll ask this is a 1-mark question or a 2-mark question, right? Not more than that. Just to remember, so in regular languages was closed under all the operations, but it is not so in context-free languages. So there is more possibility of asking closure properties of context-free languages. So CFL is closed under the following operations, that is union, concordination, closure, homomorphism, and inverse homomorphism, but it is not closed under the operations intersection and difference. And so these two things you have to remember. They may be asking what are the operations under which the CFL is not closed, like that. But there is other property, intersection or a difference of a context-free language and regular language is always a CFL. This may be, sometimes they'll ask this as a 1-mark question. So that's it. So here we have seen deterministic push-down automaton and closure properties of a context-free language. So with this, the third unit gets over. So this is a very big unit when compared to all the 5 units. So we have seen everything for unit 3, right? So what and all we have seen, let me summarize what we have seen under unit 3. So we have seen what is context-free grammar, and we have seen how to construct leftmost derivation, rightmost derivation, parse tree. Then we have seen given a grammar how to prove that as an ambiguous grammar. Then using if a grammar is given using operators, we have seen 1 or 2 examples for eliminating ambiguity from it. Then with that, context-free grammar gets over. Then after that, we see the model called PDA, that is push down automaton, and the language recognized by it. Here there are 2 types of languages. That is acceptance by empty stack, acceptance by final state, and so on. Then the conversion, then the problems on PDA 2. Given a PDA, you have to find an equivalent context-free grammar. Given a context-free grammar, you have to find an equivalent PDA. Then what else we have seen? We have seen 2 normal forms, that is Chomsky normal form and Kreyberg normal form, and followed by it deterministic pushdown automaton and closure properties. So usually they'll ask, this is a 2-mark question. Sometimes if the question paper is very tough, they'll ask you to construct a deterministic pushdown automaton. So in that case, we should be very careful with those conditions. Okay, thank you.